Hi everyone, I'm Kelly from craftandacuppa, and today I'm going to do a full length tutorial on this little vest. Now it currently doesn't have a name, so we're just going to call it the vest for the time being. So basically it's made to measure. It's going to be made completely from your own body measurements and your own body shape, okay? So on this one I've added a little bit of surface crochet. That's completely optional, you don't have to do that. There is also meant to be a little tie with it, but I haven't done a tie for this one yet because I quite like it as it is, to be honest. Here's another one that I've done with some of my hand spun yarn, and that one has got a tie on it. Also, although I've done mine cropped, you don't have to have it this short, you can make yours as long as you wish. Another thing I'm going to say is you can use any yarn that you want, but I would suggest chunky and a 7mm hook, because that's what I've been using for all of mine, and I've been making them in less than a day. Like, I say it, 3 to 4 hours. You could have one of these. This is a size small, cropped. They are so fast to make if you're using chunky yarn and a 7mm hook. Okay, so I'm just going to show you how to measure yourself. Okay, to start us off, we just need to take one measurement, and that's going to be the chest measurement. So you just need to get your tape measure and measure around the widest part of your chest. We're going to be working in centimetres. So mine is 84 centimetres. Now because I'm making a cropped one again, I'm going to keep it at 84 centimetres. Now if you're thinking, I don't really want mine cropped, I want it more to like my hip area, you want it to hang down more, you need to add an extra 10 centimetres onto your chest measurement. So just say that I decided I am going to make a longer one, then mine would be 84, which is my chest measurement, plus 10 centimetres is 94. So that would be the number that I need to get started for my vest. But I'm not doing that, I'm having a cropped one, so I just need the chest measurement plus no extra ease on it. Should we do it? Here are some things that you're going to need to make this vest. Yarn. So today I've gone for Emu Chunky. Any chunky is amazing. So I would suggest chunky, but you, like I said before, you can use any yarn that you wish. I've gone with a 7mm hook to match my yarn. You're going to need a few stitch markers, a tape measure, some little scissors. Also, I haven't got it out, but like a little needle to weave in your ends. And if you decide at the end that you want to make the tassel tie, you're going to need some sharp scissors to cut the tie, the tassel bit. And I do believe that's it, but if there's anything else, obviously I'll let you know as we're knee deep in the tutorial. Okay, to start this tutorial, you are going to need to do a foundation double crochet to the measurement that you've just taken. So for me, I'm making a cropped vest. My chest measurement was 84 centimetres, so I need to make a foundation double crochet to 84 centimetres. Now if you're like, oh, I have no idea how to do a foundation double crochet, I've not included it in this tutorial, but I do have a separate one, and I'm going to link it in the written description. There is a full detailed tutorial on how to do the foundation double crochet. It's a great thing to learn, especially if you like to make garments, because it has a lot of stretch to it, and whereas the chain doesn't have as much stretch. If you're like absolutely adamant, no, I am not doing a foundation double crochet, then you can do a loose chain. I'd probably suggest to go up a hook size for your chain, and then you're going to need to do a row of double crochets, because mine's all in here that I've done the foundation double crochet. And you need to have an odd number of stitches. That is it. Okay, so do it to the measurement of your chest. Remember, if you're making a long version, you need to add an extra 10 centimetres to that measurement. and it needs to be an odd number of stitches. So when we come to measure, what we need to do is, we don't want it like crazy loose so it's all curled up and like this. We need to add a little bit of tension in there and make it taut, but do not overstretch it. Oh, my voice just went. Overstretch it to its maximum capacity. We just want it stretched out enough where it's nice and straight against your tape measure. Because once you start adding stitches in, it is going to expand a little bit more, I do tend to find. So yeah, don't measure it all bunched up like this. Give it a little bit of tension just to make it nice and straight against your tape measure. That's a good way to do it, is to start at the beginning and just smooth it out. And that, you can see it stretching. I don't know if you can see it here, but I can see that it's stretching right now. So I am actually a little bit ahead of what I need to be. I'm at 90 centimetres. So I need to knock some of my stitches back, and I also need to make sure that I have an odd number of stitches. So once you've done this, I will meet you here for row 2, because this is actually the chain and row 1 together. Double crochet, foundation double crochet. I'll link it in the comments. Not in the comments, the written description. You know what I mean. Okay, row 2, nice and easy. We're going to chain 4. That is going to class, oh, I've just pulled that out of there. That's going to class as a double crochet and a chain 1. So we're going to turn our work and we're going to skip the next stitch and put a double crochet in the next one. So remember, that one there is the base of your chain. The next one along is the one you're going to skip, and then this one is the one that you're going to put your double crochet into. Like so. Then you're going to chain 1, skip the next stitch, double crochet in the next stitch. Chain 1, skip the next stitch, double crochet in the next stitch. That's chain 1, skip the next stitch, double crochet in the next stitch. And just keep doing that all the way across the row. Chain 1, skip next stitch, double crochet in the next stitch. All the way across. Nice and easy, and it's a nice fast row, I always find, when you're doing chain spaces. So I'll meet you back here when you get to the end of this row. Okay, I'm right at the end of row 2 and I've got 2 stitches remaining, so I'm going to skip my last stitch. I've already chained 1, so I've done a double crochet, chain 1, skip stitch, 1 double crochet in the final stitch. Like so. So row 3 is going to be so easy. We're just going to do a whole row of double crochets. Now, I am going to start every double crochet row with a stacked single crochet because I think it looks neater, and obviously we're doing a vest and you're going to see all this area. So, I mean, if you're like, I don't really want to do that, you can chain 3 and then turn your work, and that will class as your first double. But I'm not, I'm going to do the stacked single crochet. So how to do that is we literally go straight from this stitch, we turn our work, we don't do any chains. So we turn our work and we go back into this original stitch and we make a single crochet. Like so. Now you can go into either one of these loops, but today I'm going to choose the one on the edge because I feel like being crazy. So I'm going to go into that loop only. I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to slip stitch through the first loop on my hook. Not both of them, just the first loop. Give it a little wiggle if you need to. I've now got 2 loops on my hook. I'm going to finish it off with a single crochet. Yarn over, pull through both loops. And that is a stacked single crochet, and it will help keep your edges neat and less gappy when you do a double crochet row. So now we can just continue doing our double crochets. So we're going to go into the chain space with a double crochet and then the stitch with a double crochet, into the chain space with a double crochet and then the next stitch. And you're just going to keep doing that all the way across. One double crochet in every chain space and every stitch until you get to the end of the row. Oh, hang on, I've done a half double there. Don't want to mix my stitches up. So I'll meet you at the end of this row. Oh, my belly's making funny noises. Double crochet in every chain space and every stitch. And I'll meet you at the end of the row because we're going to be dealing with that chain 4 that we did at on the beginning of the previous row. Okay, I'm right near the end of row 3 and I've got this chain 4 left. So that is basically the chain 3 classed as double crochet, and the extra chain is the chain space. So we're going to need to put 1 double crochet in the chain space and then 1 double crochet in the 3rd chain. So 1, 2, 3. Sometimes I find if I give it a little twist towards me, I can then go straight through the centre. Nice and easy. I say that, it doesn't always go nice and easy, but today it has. There we are. So row 4 is going to be so easy again. It's just another row of double crochets. Now remember, you can do a chain 3 and turn your work, and that will be your double crochet, or you can do the stack single to help keep a nice straight edge. I'm doing the stack single again, so I'll show you how to do that. Turn your work, go in the very first stitch with a single crochet, hang on a minute, I've got myself all kerfuddled. I've not gone through the right stitch yet. There we go, that's better. I'm going through the very first loop only and doing a slip stitch through that loop, and then I'm just going to yarn over and go through the last 2 loops. Voila! And then we're good to put 1 double crochet in every single stitch, all the way across the row. I'll meet you back here near the end of row 4. Okay, I've got 1 more stitch left to place, and that's in the top of my stacked single crochet. If you did the chain 3 instead, then your final stitch will go in the top of the chain 3, but mine is going in the top of my stacked single crochet. Just 1 double crochet. Okay, so from here on out, we are going to keep repeating these 3 rows that we have just done. So the chain space row and then 2 double crochets, chain space row, 2 double crochets. You're just going to keep repeating. So that's row 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4 until you're happy with the length, basically. If you decided to use a thinner ply of yarn and you wanted to do the surface crochet, have a look to see what this space is like, because this is where I put my surface crochet, on these 2 rows along the bottom. So if you look at it and you think, well, there's not a lot of space to play about and design with, add another row of double crochet. It doesn't make no difference to the pattern whatsoever. Add another double crochet row before heading back to your chain space row. So basically, just keep repeating rows 2, row 3, row 4, and build it up until you are happy with the length. And if you're thinking, how does she know where the length is going to be? I'm going to show you in the next video, the next section of the pattern, because I'm going to be where I need to be. Basically, you can either take a measurement from your underarm to where you want this to sit on your body, or you can just wrap it around yourself and have a look to see, like, yeah, quite like that, because this top area is going to be underneath your arm and then this bit is obviously going to be on your waist section. So I'm going to timestamp row 2, row 3, row 4, but it's basically chain space row, 2 rows of double crochet, chain space row, 2 rows of double crochet, and your final row will need to be a double crochet row. Don't end on the chain space row. Just make sure that you end on a double crochet row. But I'm going to meet you back here, like literally in a few seconds, with my finished bit, and you can see what I've done. So yeah, keep doing row 2, row 3, row 4, row 2, row 3, row 4, until you're happy with the length. Okay, so this is how long, or I say long, it is long, how long I'm going to make my vest. So I have done 2 more repeats of rows 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. Now mine is about 16 centimetres and I'm making a small. Now I'm going to show you how I hold it up against myself to see if I'm happy with where it's sitting. Okay, let me just grab this. I've still got my yarn attached. Ooh, hang on, just knock everything over. Right, I've still got my yarn attached. Also, with regards to the right side and the wrong side of the vest, you can pick which side is the right side or the wrong side, but I always have my foundation row facing forwards. So yeah, I have my foundation row facing forwards, and that to me, I like to have that as my right side. So what I'm going to do, I've still got my yarn attached. I'm just going to very carefully wrap it around my back. Like so. I've got it near my armpit. I haven't got it right bunched up to my armpit because when I do my strap, I'm having a bit of a looser fit. So it's going to hang maybe a centimetre or 2 underneath my armpit. And I'm going for a cropped length. And I'm just having a little look, turning around and thinking, yeah, I'm quite happy with where this is sitting. Because I like to wear mine with skirts, which normally come up a little bit higher than this, and it's just like a nice distance for me. You can make yours, remember, as long as you want to go. You don't have to be as short as me. But yeah, I'm happy with this. So now that I'm happy with the length, I've now got to work out strap placement. So just bear with me a second. We're going to keep this where it is for the strap placement. Okay, this is where we're going to need our stitch markers. We're just going to need a couple of stitch markers. So keeping it where we've got it to try it on, this is where we need to decide where we're going to put the straps. So the straps are going to start along this edge, okay? So they're going to start decreasing immediately on this edge. So where do you want it to start? It's completely up to you. I normally just like close my arm down, have a look and think, I kind of want it to start somewhere on the right hand side. Doesn't really matter where. Obviously don't start it here because that's just going to look strange. You're going to want it to come from like near your underarm section. So I'm just going to go, I'm going to look down and go about here. I'm going to go for here. So I'm going to put my stitch marker through the stitch where I would like my strap to start decreasing from. So it's going to go there and it's going to decrease. Whoop, just like that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this off and I'm going to count how many stitches I have up to this stitch marker, and then I'm going to come to the opposite side. I'm going to count the same amount of stitches and pop a stitch marker in this side as well. Okay, so this is where I put my stitch marker a second ago. I've just counted my stitches from the edge all the way to the stitch marker, and I've got 15 stitches. So what I need to do now is come to the opposite side. Where's my other stitch marker? I've lost it. Oh no, it's over here. So from this edge, I'm going to count 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. and I'm going to pop a stitch marker in the 15th stitch. There we are. And now we are ready to start the sleeves. Well, the straps, I mean, not the sleeves. The sleeves. No, the straps. Why did I just say that again? Oh my word. Straps. Front straps, okay? Not sleeves. Okay, so we are now going to do some decrease rows to make our strap. And when I get to a certain point, I'm going to stop decreasing and just do regular normal rows until I reach the measurement. Now for me, my measurement that I like to reach for this is 17 centimetres. Yours might be different. So what you need to do is keep making your strap, wrap this around you again, and your strap needs to sit in the centre of your shoulder, at the top centre of your shoulder. Now for me, that's 17 centimetres. I personally would suggest you aim for 17 centimetres, try it on, and if you need more, you can add more. If you need less, you can add a bit less. We're all different shapes and sizes, so 17 centimetres might not be the one for you. You might need a little bit more, you might need a little bit less. It's completely up to you. So what we're going to do is a few decrease rows just to bring it in a bit, and then we're going to do some normal regular rows. And that's quite important to have the normal regular rows because it makes it easier for when you come to seam it together to have at least one regular row on there rather than a decrease row. You're probably like, what is she talking about? So I'm starting this end because I still have my yarn attached. So what we're going to do, we are going to chain 2, and that is not going to class as a stitch, but it's going to become a decrease. So we're going to chain 2, we're going to turn our work, and then we're going to put a double crochet in the next stitch. Now that double crochet will eventually become the last stitch of this row, and that chain 2 is a decrease. So it's kind of like a double crochet 2 together, but not quite. But that's kind of like what we've just done. But don't worry about that right now. Obviously when we get to it, I'll show you exactly what I meant. So now we're going to keep putting double crochets in every stitch, but we're going to stop 2 stitches at the stitch marker. So it's not before the stitch marker. I'll show you when we get there, hang on, because I'm real bad at explaining things. Keep putting double crochets in every stitch. I haven't got too many to go, so I'm just going to keep recording. Okay, so at the minute I've got 3 stitches, and the third one has my stitch marker in it. I need to do one more double crochet, which leaves me with 2 stitches. So I've got 1 stitch here and 1 stitch with my stitch marker in it. We are now going to do a double crochet 2 together to make a decrease. So I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook into the first stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. I'm then going to yarn over and pull through the first 2 stitches. Now I'm going to go into my next one, so yarn over, go into your next stitch, pull up, yarn over and pull up a loop. I've now got 4 loops on my hook. Sorry, my words are not coming out right at all. I've now got 4 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over, go through the first 2. I've got 3 now. I'm going to yarn over and go through all 3. And we have just done a double crochet 2 together. Oh, I just thought I heard someone on my stones, but maybe I didn't. Sorry, I thought I heard someone on the drive. I'm literally shouting, they could hear me. If someone turns up, they can hear me and they're probably thinking, why is she talking so loud? Okay, so that's the first row, and that's the first row of decreases. We're going to do the exact same thing again. We're going to chain 2. We're going to turn our work, and then we're going to put a double crochet in the next stitch. Don't go in the same one as the chain 2. We're going to go in the next stitch with a double crochet. We're going to keep putting double crochets in until we have 2 stitches remaining. So 1 double crochet in every stitch until you have 2 stitches remaining. Let me just get a bit more yarn. Right, I'm nearly there. Okay, so I'm stopping right here. Now we need to go until 2 stitches remaining. Right now it looks like I have 3 stitches. You can see by looking at the posts of the double crochets from the row below. 1, 2, but then on this edge here we have that chain 2 that I was talking about a little while ago. Now that is not classed as a stitch. We are not using that at all. We're just using that to do a decrease. So we've got to ignore that. Although it looks like I have 3 stitches left, I don't. I actually have just 2. If you turn it round, you can see the 2 V shapes and then the chain 2. We're not using that chain 2. So these are my last 2 stitches, and I'm going to put a double crochet 2 together in these last 2 stitches and completely ignore that chain 2 on the end. So let me do a double crochet 2 together, bosh. Now if you wanted thick straps, you could, if I'm gonna put it as a timestamp anyway for the rows after the decreases. If you want a thick straps, you could stop decreasing right here and start just doing normal rows back and forth. But I like mine to go in a bit thin. So I'm going to do another decrease row and then see what I think. So another decrease row. If you're done with the decreases and you want a thicker strap, you can go to the written description where you can find the timestamp for rows after decreases, remaining strap rows after decreases, something along those lines, and I'll timestamp it for you. So I'm going to keep decreasing. So that's chain 2, turn my work, double crochet in the next stitch and double crochet in every stitch until 2 stitches remain. Where are we? We're getting there. This is my final one. So I've got 2 double crochets here and that chain 2. Remember, we're pretending that the chain 2 is not even there because we're not using that. So I'm going to do a double crochet 2 together in the last 2 stitches. There we go. Another decrease row. I'm going to do another one. I usually like to decrease until I have 5 or 6 stitches remaining. Now how many you have with that will depend on how many stitches you started with. So I started with 15, didn't I, if you remember? I had 15 stitches on my first row. So because my number's odd, that means I can get my decreases down to 5 stitches. That's where I like to stop. If it was 16 stitches that I had or 14 stitches that I started with, it's an even number. That means that I can get my decreases down to 6 stitches. So if you have an odd number that you started with, you'll end up with an odd number of decreases. If you have an even number, you're going to have an even number when you've finished all your decreases. So I like to get to 5 stitches for mine. I am at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I've still got a few decreases to make. But like I say, you can stop whenever you wish with the decreases. Right, chain 2, turn our work, skip the next stitch, 1 double crochet in the next stitch, 1 double crochet in every single stitch until 2 stitches remain. Got 1 more to do. So I've got my 2 stitches here and then that chain 2. that we're not using. So I'm going to do a double crochet 2 together, like so. I think I just have one more decrease row to do to get to 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm now at 7. I'm going to do one more row of decreases. So that's chain 2, turn the work, go into the next stitch with a double crochet. Oh, hang on, that just fell out. Let me just turn my work a bit better than that. And then we're going to keep doing that until 2 stitches remain. So yeah, I've got my 2 stitches here and that chain 2 that we're not using. So I'm going to do a double crochet 2 together to join them stitches into one. Now that's enough for me with my decreases. I'm not going to add any more decreases now. Also, this is how you measure. Nice and easy. I can see, because I've left this in here as well, it makes it much easier to see where we started the rows of our straps. Just measure straight from the centre. So I'm about 8 centimetres and I am currently aiming for 17 centimetres. So this is now where we do rows after the decreases. So now you can either chain 3 and make that class as your double crochet, or you can do the stacked single crochet again. I'm going to be doing the stacked single, so I'm going to turn my work, go straight into my first stitch with a single crochet, come back into that first loop, yarn over and do a slip stitch for that first loop only, yarn over and pull through both loops. So that classes as my first double crochet. But if you don't like doing that, you can do a chain 3 instead. So a double crochet in every single stitch. On this row only, we still have that chain 2 at the end that we're not using. So this is my final stitch here, just this one, not the chain 2. So I'm going to put my last double crochet in there. And I have now got 5 stitches. So from here on out, we're just going to be doing double crochets until we reach our desired length for the strap. So I'm doing a stack single again, turn my work, and then a double crochet in every stitch to keep it at 5 stitches. I'm going to do it again and then I'm going to see where my measurement is at. So I'm doing a stacked single as my first double, just to keep it looking nice and even throughout the whole pattern. Oh my goodness, what am I doing there? Okay, I'm just going to measure mine and see where I'm at. I'm pretty certain I need to do a little bit more than that. But as you can see, the strap is now taking place. You can see here that I have done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have done 5 rows of decreases. And I am now, so far, I've done 3 regular rows. So now it's just going to keep going straight. Right, where's my tape measure? I know I'm not there yet. I can see I'm not at 17 centimetres just yet. I'm at 13. Ooh, unlucky for some. I don't know why. I just don't like that number. I've got a dentist appointment in September on Friday the 13th. And I'm like, I don't like that. Why did I agree to it? I should have went, have you got a different day? Friday the 13th. Oh my goodness. Dentist as well. Like, what am I doing? Lordy Lord. Right, so I'm doing another stacked single crochet. And then a single crochet in every stitch. So I'm going to keep going and repeating that row until I reach 17 centimetres, and I'm going to show you how I check the strap placement. Okay, right, I'm going to show you how I'm going to check the strap placement. We're going to wrap it around ourselves just like we did a minute ago. I've got the strap here and the end, which is kind of in the way. We're just going to hold it up just to the centre of your shoulder. And that is where it's going to sit. So as you can see, I've got a little bit of gap underneath my armpit area. You can make it longer if you wanted to. If you wanted it to be hanging down a bit further, make your strap longer. It'll also add a little bit of length to this bit, but if you want to have your armhole a bit longer because you think, oh, I might wear it with a jumper or something, I don't know, you can make it a bit longer than that if you want to. But yeah, I'm happy with that. It's in the centre of my shoulder. Lovely. So now all I've got to do is the exact same thing on the opposite side, this side here. But instead we're going to be working from the stitch marker and working out towards the edge. But don't worry, I'm going to go through it with you. Okay, I just need to fasten off my strap because I'm happy with the length. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a long tail for seaming. Just means I've got one less end to weave in when it comes to the end of, well, weaving in the ends, basically. So I'm leaving a long tail for seaming. Okay, so we started on this edge, didn't we? So I'm just going to lay this out a minute. I'm going to have a look at what I've just done, because I'm going to need to replicate this for the opposite side. So let me just check again how many decrease rows I made. So I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I made 5 decrease rows. And then normal regular rows, I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I know when I do my opposite side, I need to do 5 decrease rows and then 6 regular rows. Okay, so we're literally just going to shimmy this along. I've got my scissors underneath, so probably not a good start. We're going to come to our next stitch marker. And we're going to do exactly what we've just done, but we're going to start from the stitch marker and work our way out towards the edge. So let me get a new bit of yarn. I'm going to attach it with a slip stitch through the same stitch with the stitch marker on it. And then we're going to chain 2, and that's the stitch that we forget about. We don't use that. And we're going to put a double crochet in the next stitch and a double crochet in every stitch until 2 stitches remain. It's just going to be exactly the same as what we've just done. Nearly there. Here we go. So I've got 2 stitches left. I am going to put a double crochet 2 together, using up those last 2 stitches to make my first decrease, like so. And then we're going to chain 2 turn our work, go in the next stitch with a double crochet, and then go in every stitch with a double crochet until 2 stitches remain. You probably know all this because you've literally just done it, but I will just do this one last row with you. Okay, so I've got 2 stitches left, 1, 2, and then that chain 2 that we are completely ignoring. And I'm going to put a double crochet, 2 together in the last 2 stitches. So that's 2 decrease rows I've just done. I've got to do a total of 5, so I need to do 3 more of those rows that I've just done. And then I'm going to do 6 rows, I do believe, which is what I did, of just my normal regular rows. Okay, and that is the next strap. It's exactly the same as what we have just done. So I'll meet you back here when you have your second strap. Okay, I have finished my second strap, and again I'm going to leave a long tail for seaming. Okay, now we need to work out the upper back section. It's nice and easy, so don't worry, we've just got to do a little bit of counting. I can't quite fit it all on. Hang on, let me just lift my camera up a little bit. Sorry for the shaking. I'm just lifting it up just a little bit. You can see my messy table. Hopefully about there will be okay. Just about. Right, I have still got my stitch markers in, which probably kind of helps for you to visually see what I'm doing. I am going to count all of these stitches from this same stitch where the stitch marker is all the way across to the other stitch marker. I'm just going to pause the video and I'm going to count every single stitch. And you need to do the same. Okay, so I have got 55 stitches all the way across here. I need to find my center stitch. So to do that, I've got 55. That is an odd number. So I'm going to take 1 off of the 55 to give me 54. So 54 divided by 2 is 27. I'm then going to add that 1 back on that I took away, which makes it 28. 28 is my center stitch. So what I need to do is I need to find the 28th stitch. So did you catch that, yeah? I had 55, I minused 1, which is 54, divided by 2, 27, add the extra stitch back on, 28. 28 is my center stitch. And that's going to be the exact same process for you to find your center stitch. If you're like, what's she talking about? Another way to do it is you could literally like count them both at the same time. Do, 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 until you reach your center stitch. But for me, that's far more confusing than my one. Right, so I'm going to count to 28 and I'm going to put my stitch marker in my center stitch. My stitch marker is now in my 28th stitch. So what I need to do now is work out where my back panel is going to start. And it's going to start the exact same amount of stitches that my front panel started at. So let me just zoom in a minute. Okay, so this is where you need to remember how many stitches you used on your first row, or well, no, not your first row, sorry, where you put your stitch marker in to make your front panel. Now mine was 15 stitches. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this out here now because I don't need this one that's on my front panel. And I'm going to reuse it. So using my center stitch as the first stitch that I'm going to count to the left 15 stitches, which matches the exact same that I counted when I worked out my front straps. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And I'm going to put my stitch marker in the 15th stitch. I'm now going to come to the opposite side and do exactly the same thing. So I'm just going to take my stitch marker that I've had out of my front strappy area. And again, using my centre stitch with the stitch marker in it as stitch number 1, I'm going to count 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And I'm going to put my stitch marker in the 15th stitch. Now what we can do is remove this centre one because we don't need it no more. It has paid its dues. And now we are literally going to do the exact same thing that we just did for each front strap, but on a larger scale. And we're going to do it to the back panel. So you're going to do this exact same amount of decrease rows that you did for your front panels, or your front strap, sorry. I did 5 decrease rows. Yep. Then I stopped, and then I did 6 regular rows. And that is exactly what I'm going to be doing for my back piece. Exactly the same as what we have just done. So I'm going to go over it a little bit, but it's literally exactly the same as making this, but on a larger scale. I'm not going to end up with 5 stitches at the top for this one, because obviously we're working in a bigger area. Right, it's now time to start the back section. Now before we begin, I want you to just have a little look at where you attached your front straps. Now mine is here. Now I can see from this row right here that my stitches are currently wrong side facing. So if I start crocheting on this side, these are going to be right side facing, that's going to be wrong side facing. For it to be consistent, I'm going to need to flip mine around so that this row of stitches is right side facing. So let me just flip that around. Even though we're not going to be seaming this together like side by side, I still think it's nice to have a bit of consistency going on. So this is the same side that I attached my straps to. And that's the same side that I'm going to do the back panel to as well. Let me just zoom in a little bit. Okay, I'll just do a couple of rows with you because we have literally just done this twice. But we're doing it on a bigger scale this time. So, according to my straps, I need to do 5 decrease rows and then 6 normal rows. And I will have the exact same amount of decreases as my front straps and the exact same number of normal rows as my front straps. And they should all line up perfectly. So going in the right hand side, go in the same stitch with your stitch marker and attach your yarn with a slip stitch. Chain 2. Come along to the next stitch and we're going to put a double crochet in every single stitch apart from the last 2 stitches when we reach the stitch marker. So 1 double crochet in every stitch. Okay, I now have 2 stitches remaining. So I'm going to do a double crochet 2 together. In those 2 stitches. And then we're going to chain 2, turn our work, put a double crochet in the next stitch and a double crochet in every single stitch until 2 stitches remain. Right, I'm now at the end and I've got 2 stitches and that chain 2 that we're completely forgetting about. So I'm going to use my last 2 stitches to do the double crochet 2 together. There we go. And then I'm going to keep doing the same amount of decrease rows as my front panel, which for me was 5. and I'll meet you back here just to quickly go over the normal rows again. Just a little catch up, recap, not a catch up, recap. Right, I have just quickly whipped up my 5 decrease rows. As you can see, they're going up nice and neat. So now I have got 6 regular normal straight rows to add on the top, and that will then match my front straps. So I'm just going to do 1 row with you quickly. So I'm still using the stacked single crochet. So I'm going to turn my work and do my stacked single crochet. Remember, if you don't want to do this, you can just do chain 3. So I'm a bit out of focus there, aren't I? Oh, get in there. Right, and then just going to put a double crochet in every single stitch. So 1 double crochet in every stitch. I'll meet you near the end. Okay, so I'm right at the end and I've got 1 stitch left to go in, and that chain 2 that we're not doing anything with. That's why I wanted to just recap this row again, just to remind you, do not go in that chain 2. So my last double crochet is going in the stitch, not the chain 2. And now you're good just to continue adding your double crochets in every single stitch until you have the same amount of rows as your front straps. Okay, I've just finished doing my back panel. And then once you get your front panel and fold it across, I say front panel, but you know what I mean, the curve should completely line up, which it does. Amazing. So what we're going to do now, I'm just going to fasten off. Normally, I'm not going to leave a long tail. I'm just going to fasten off. Next part is seaming. Okay, so before in the video, I'm just going to take these out actually while I'm here. I don't need them in there no more. I said that you can pick what side is the wrong side and what side is the right side. I personally like my foundation double crochet to be facing the right way. That is what I class as my right side. I just think it looks neater than having it the other way. But it's all personal preference. So I am picking this as my right side. So that means you need to lay it flat down. So what I'm going to do now is exactly what I just did. I'm going to take each corner section and bring it forwards. Like so. Bring the front, fold it over, so that now, if I lift it up, this is the wrong side. This part is the wrong side and this is the right side. So I'm going to do my seam and it's going to be in the wrong, well, on the wrong side of the garment. So seaming. You can seam however you want. There is no rules to say, are you going to do it this way? Blah, blah, blah. You can seam it however you wish. I'm going to use a single crochet seam, but because we've got this bit of long yarn attached here, my first stitch is going to be like a slip stitch basically. So let me just zoom in a little bit to this section here. So I've got my long tail that I left for seaming. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up my front panel, my front strap. I'm going to go through the very first stitch with my hook. I'm going to pick up the back piece and I'm going to go through the very first stitch as well on there. And then I'm going to get my long tail that I used, or that I'm using for seaming. And I'm just going to yarn over and pull it through both stitches. So to me, that's fine. That bit is done. If you wanted to, you could always chain one and put another single crochet through it, but I don't think it's necessary, but all personal preference. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through each stitch through the front and the back, and I'm just going to make a single crochet. Next stitch, front and back, and then single crochet. Next stitch, front and back, single crochet. My final stitch for me, nice and easy this is, isn't it? single crochet. And that has now joined the two pieces together. So I'm just going to give that a little knot. Like so. And on this side, I now only have one end to weave in. Whereas if I'd have used a separate piece of yarn, I would have had 3 ends. Ah, we don't like ends, so we like to try and minimise them. That side is done. This side, my long tail, is here. So I'm starting from here and going across rather than working along the edge. So for this side, I know I've got 5 stitches on my front strap. So I just need to flip that out of the way for a minute and just count my 5 stitches on here so I know it's going to match. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I need to go through this one. So I'm just going to put my hook through. Yeah, that's not really working out for me very well. Probably should have used a stitch marker. Let's put a stitch marker in it just quickly, just so I know where I'm going. So I'm going to put my hook through the first stitch on my front strap. Then I'm going to go through the 5th stitch for me because I've got 5 stitches that I'm dealing with. The 5th stitch on the back panel. Take my long tail that I left for seaming and just slip stitch that through the first stitch. Bosh. I say slip stitch, I'm not really, I'm just kind of pulling it through, but like it's on my hook, isn't it? Then I'm just going to do what I've just done. Go through the front panel first and then the back panel and do a single crochet. Then the next stitch on the front and the back, single crochet. And just keep doing that all the way across. Last stitch for me. Ooh. Now I can't get it to go in. Always the way. Single crochet. Done. Aha! Done, done, done. Now before I turn my work the right way out, I'm just going to quickly whip round and weave in my ends. Now I've used the same yarn throughout. I've ended up with like, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ends. Lovely jubbly. So I'm going to weave them in, and then the next section we're going to do is the tie. Okay, this is how we're looking so far. It's cute, isn't it? So next I'm going to do a tassel, a tie tassel. You don't have to do one if you don't want to. I just think it gives it a nice little finish. Yeah. Whether I'll keep it on, I don't know. Maybe I might take it off. So, how I do my tassel. First what I do is I create a guide as to how long I'm going to make my tassel. Because it's basically, I keep calling it a tassel, a tie, whatever. It's not a tassel, but you know what I mean, a tie. So, all we're going to do is a chain. I mean, if you can do an I-cord, you want to do one of those, you can do one of those. I'm a bit rubbish at making them. I keep looking at getting one of them little things that does it for you. Cheat, I don't care. But we're just going to do a chain. You don't need to do anything special. So I'm going to take a scrap piece of yarn and I'm going to cut it way longer than what it needs to be. I mean, I can see already, that's huge. Let's just ravel that in a bit. That's a bit too long. So I'm going to snip it here. For the size of my top, I can tell already that like that's huge. So I like to start from the top with mine and make my tie at the bottom. I mean, that's optional. If you'd rather go at the top, that's fine. I'm going to come in closer and it's going to cut my head off, so that's the only way I can do it. So what I do is I literally just thread it through the chain space bits, and that's it. So I'm going to go through the chain space at the top. And then I'm just going to make sure that my tie is even. Oh, hang on, someone's here. Sorry, Amazon delivery. Right, where were we? I was then going through the top, weren't I? So I'm just going to make sure, like, it's dangling quite even, which it is. Now I'm going to go through the next one. I'm going to cross it over because I like to do a little crisscross. So it's a bit like doing your shoelaces. but we're just going through the chain spaces. We're not going through every stitch, we're just going through the chain spaces. Oh no, hang on. That one goes in there. I've probably got a massive double chin doing this. Right, there we go. So I'm just going to tighten it up a little bit. And now I'm going to tie it into a bow tie. Just like how I want my regular tie to look once it's done. Like so. Now let me come back a little bit. As you can see, I've got all this extra dangling here. So what I'm going to do now is get my scissors and I'm going to snip it to where I want it to end. So just snip it, and that's shortened that. And now we have made a guide as to how long we're going to make our chain. So I'm going to take this out. And I now know that I can't quite fit it all in. There we go. That is how long I need to make my chain for my tie. Aha! You're welcome. Right, I'm not going to be able to fit it all in the screen, but basically you're going to take your tie guide and you are going to make it nice and straight. Obviously I can't fit all of mine in the screen, but just know that I have laid it all out flat. Oops, well I had. And now I'm just going to take my yarn and I'm going to make a chain the same length as my tie guide. We don't need to count the stitches. It does not matter how many stitches, it does not matter how many chains you have, because we're just making a little tie to the same length as the guide that we have just created. That's just come out. So yeah, you don't need to see me doing all this, but like basically you're just going to keep measuring it and then eventually it's going to measure the whole of the guide. So I'll meet you back here when you have your tie guide. I said that wrong. I'm not going to meet you back here when you have your tie guide. I'm going to meet you back here when you have your tie. I think I need to go to bed. Right, I've made my chain to the same length as my tie guide. So I'm just going to fasten it off. Leave a bit of a tail. We haven't got to worry about weaving those in because we're going to be adding a little tassel on the end of each tie. That's why I keep calling it a tassel rather than a tie. I'm just getting myself a bit befuddled, basically. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to feed this back through my vest. Got to be honest with you, I actually normally do this when I've still got it on. Just keep the whole thing on while I'm doing it. Even putting the tassels on. But I'm not going to do that because then I won't be showing you what exactly is going down. So let me just crisscross this through here. I find, even if you might be like, oh, but I can't be bothered to keep putting that on, that tie, I actually find I can slip this on and off over my head without even undoing it. There we go. Okay, so we're just going to add a little tassel on the end just to make it look pretty. Now, my trick for adding tassels is to use a book. Failing that, if you don't have a book, you can cut 8 strands of yarn at 30 centimetres long, okay? Because we're going to use 4 strands for each tassel. We've got 2 tassels, so yeah, 8 strands will be and more than enough. I'm going to use a book to wind it around. It's just quick and easy. This is where we're going to need our sharp scissors if you're doing it this way as well. Let me get my sharp scissors to the rescue, to the ready. I don't even know. Basically, I'm trying to rush because I've got an hour and 5 minutes until I have to stop. And I wanted to touch on the surface crochet as well. And then after that, it's half term. It's literally half term tomorrow, so I need to get my skates on. Right, so I'm going to wrap this around 8 times. 1, 2, What's it doing? Let me move this over here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I'm going to get my scissors. Just going to snip that little bit off right there. And then I'm going to just wedge my scissors underneath the rest of them. Snip. Now I have 8 equal strands of yarn. So I'm just going to need 4 for my first tassel. So let me find 4 of them. Lovely jubblies. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these and I'm going to like fold them in half so it forms a loop in the centre, this little loop here. So I'm just going to put that down for one side. Well, I'll put it there for a minute. So you can basically see I've just folded them in half. Right, I'm going to take my crochet hook. I'm going to pick up my one end of my tie. I nearly called it a tassel. I'm not going to go through the very first chain. I'm going to go through the next one. Like so. And I'm just putting my hook through it like that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up this loop here. And I'm going to hook that centre part over my hook. I'm going to hook the centre part over my hook. I can feel my words are failing me really quickly here for some reason. Now I've got to try and carefully pull all of these strands of yarn through this chain. And that can be a little tricky sometimes. So just take it nice and steady. Try and like flatten them out on the hook. Maybe that might help. Try and get them all through. And then just pull it up a bit like that so that we're forming another loop. Gently remove your hook. Use your forefinger and your thumb to go through it like this. So you can go, hello, make a little bit in there, because what we're going to do now is we're going to pick up the remaining strands of yarn, but we're also going to pick up our tail end, which is hanging around here as well. I want the whole lot. And what we're going to do is we're going to feed it through this hole and pull them through like so. And then pull them tight. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through each strand individually and give it a gentle tug. Don't pull too hard to begin with, because you might pull the whole bit of yarn out. I've done that loads of times, and then you get into a right mess sometimes. So when I'm pulling, I'm kind of putting my hand on this knot bit here at the same time to try and stop that strand from falling out. Just giving it a gentle pull on each strand, and that is going to slowly start to tighten up this knot that we've created, and it's going to make it nice and secure by doing that. There we go. So that's one kind of done. We're going to repeat that exact same process with the last 4 strands of yarn for this tie, and I'll meet you back here when you've done that one. Right, I now have 2 tassels. I'm going to need my sharp scissors again, because we're just going to give them a little trim up. You can make them as long as you want. I'm probably going to go about here, I reckon. Just take my scissors, make sure you don't cut your hand off or your fingers. Just do that. Now if you look at it and you think, oh, they look a bit messy still, if you've got a pair of hair straighteners, you can use your lowest setting just to quickly glide them through, and that will make them poker straight. Or an iron on the lowest setting, but it's whether or not you can be bothered to literally set the iron up. And there, we have it. We have our tie. So I'm going to quickly have a look at surface crochet. Let's see if we can squeeze it in. Yeah, I've got 1 hour left. Now you don't have to add surface crochet if you don't want to, but yeah, it's an option. Another option that I thought when I had mine on, imagine how nice it would be if you was to put some tassels through like this section and this section, or maybe just one of the sections, maybe like the middle section. Just do a row of tassels. Oh, the possibilities. Oh, the possibilities to jazz it up a bit. I quite like that idea. I might have to do that at some point. So for now, surface crochet. I'm going to take my tie out for surface crochet. Right, I'll meet you back here in a second. That literally was a second. Just to add, if you don't want to do surface crochet, well then, well done, you are finished. Thank you so much for hanging around for another tutorial. But if you want to have a go at surface crochet, then stay tuned. It's coming right up. Okay, I've just had a rummage through my scraps and I found these two. And I think they would look pretty smart, but I don't know if I've got enough. What I was thinking of doing was running a colour along the edge, because I'm going to be putting my surface crochet on these double crochets, just on the bottom section, all the way around the cardie, just like what I've done on this one. Now this one, I did this little like loopy thing. In my head, I was actually meant to do this, so the loops went up. For some reason, I did them down. But then by that point, I was like, I've started. I'm just going to go with it. The thing is with surface crochet, in my opinion, it doesn't need to be perfect. I mean, look, that one's a bit smaller than the rest, but I just think it adds to the handmade touch. So yeah, so that is where I'm going to be putting my surface crochet. But for this one, I thought maybe if I could try doing a line across the top and a line across the bottom in a colour. It might have to be this one because I think I've got more than that than what I have this. And then maybe doing some little zigzags in the middle. It's just getting it even on this side, but I'm sure we can do it. I'm sure we can do it. We can try. I'm going to do my lines first, I think. Need to hurry up, it's getting ever so late. Looks like it's about to pour down with rain as well, just in time for the school run. How delightful. I can't even find the end. Where's the end? There it is. This bit better not turn into yarn bath because I will not be happy. Okay, surface crochet. We're going to be, I've lost my end again. Goodness gracious. We're going to be working on the right side of the fabric. I say fabric, garment, whatever you want to call it. We're going to make a slip knot. So what we need to do is get our hook, and you need to go through the stitch where you first want to put your surface crochet. Let me just zoom in a little bit. So I was hoping to do a border going across. Whether that's going to work or not, I do not know, but I'm going to try. Oh heck, what am I doing? Just ignore me. Right, so we've got our slip stitch. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold that like this, because this is the right side and I need to be putting my hook in my first stitch what I want to go in. So I want to start in this stitch. You can do any design that you want. You do not need to do the exact design as me. You can do some squiggles, some triangles, whatever. Do whatever you want. Wiggly line. Have a little practice. So what I've done is I've gone through the front to the back, and I'm going to take my slip stitch and I'm going to hook it over the hook. Second time I've said that now. Now what's going to happen is we're going to have our working yarn in the back and our hook in the front is what we aim to do. So we're going to just get your tension and we're going to pull this loop to the front. And that has made our working yarn be at the back on the wrong side. Now I need to go this way, so I'm thinking I might turn it round so I'm working literally going up. I think that might be the easiest option for me. I'm all fingers and thumbs because I'm in a bit of a rush as always. So again, I'm going to get my tension on my working yarn, which is at the back of my work. I'm going to go in my next stitch. So how am I going to do this? Let me just have a think. I might skip a stitch and go in the next one. Now, the thing with surface crochet, to me, the key is do not make your slip stitches tight, because that's basically what we're going to be doing. It's like a slip stitch. So what I'm doing is I've gone into my stitch that I want to go into, basically, gone through the back, and then you need to hook your working yarn over the hook and pull up a loop, like so. Now I've loosened my tension on this hand, because like I say, you don't want it to be tight because it's going to bunch my fabric up if I make it tight. And now we're just going to slip stitch this loop through this one. Look, it's created your first surface slip stitch. So for me, I'm skipping a stitch and I'm going across to my next one. Like I say, I'm just making it my loop so it's quite loose because I don't want it to be tight. And then I'm just going to hook my yarn around the hook and bring up another loop, like so, and create a slip stitch. There you go, I've done another one. Now this is nice and easy what I'm doing because I'm just going in a straight line. So when you start turning corners and stuff, you can find it can be a little tricky. But if it's not working the way you want it to, just pull it out and redo it. Oh, sometimes though, sometimes I come up empty-handed. It's like, where is that yarn? Here we go, I've bought it, I've got it. I can't get my words out right. I'm actually thinking that's looking pretty cool already. It's just adding a bit of jazz to it, isn't it? So remember, your working yarn is always going to be in the back. So I'm going through the front, just finding that hook and looping my yarn over it, loosely pulling up another strand of yarn and hooking it around by doing a slip stitch. I'm just going to loosen that a little bit again as well because there's a bit of a jump to my next stitch. Like that, loosen that up a little bit again so I can reach my next stitch without making my fabric bunch up and become tight. Like so. That looks pretty cool, doesn't it? So I'm going to keep doing this all the way down and I'll meet you back here in a minute. Okay, so I have gone all the way around my vest. I love it. I think it's already jazzing it up so far. So what I'm going to do now is I need to fasten off. So, I mean, you can do it any way that you wish. For me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just make my last loop bigger. I'm going to cut the end. And then I am going to... How did I do this last time? I'm just trying to remember how on earth I did it. I'm going to go in just behind where my stitch is. And I'm going to pull up that little tail end. Using my hook, I'm just going to hook it up to the front. Pull it straight through like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my loop that I've just made. And I'm going to create a knot and just pull that tight. Just to secure it. And then I'm just going to get my hook. I'm going to go in through the opposite end. So I'm going to go from back to the front, grab that tail end and bring it back through. And just pull that knot through the back as well so that you can't see it. And then what you'll do is weave in your ends just to secure. Weave them in real nice and tight. Go over it a few times just to secure this end and also this end as well. You got your slip knot there as well, which helps, but you still need to weave in your ends. And that is how you do surface crochet. So I'm going to continue. I'm going to put another orange line along the bottom. And then I'm going to see if I can do a little zigzaggy thing with this. I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen. But yeah, I mean, next time you see my vest, you might see me modelling it. Or you might see me in here going, ta-da! If you see me modelling it, it means I ran out of time and I had to do the school run. And it's now officially half time. Ah! My daughter was like, are you going to do another surviving Easter half term? I was like, oh, I don't know about that. She's like, I think you should. I was like, no, I don't know. It's too much pressure. Okay, so I'm going to go again with another orange line, and then I might do some zigzag surface crochet as well. But yeah, it's just so easy. Just remember to keep your loop the same like distance as what your next stitch is, if you know what I mean. So it's not going to be all tight and bunched up, because if you don't do that, like, you're going to bunch up your fabric. So it's just about keeping the stitch the same height as the distance where you're going to your next stitch. And just have fun with it. And if it don't look right, don't panic, just pull it out. Try again. Or if you're like, no, I can't be doing with that, just leave it. Right, see you soon. I'm back again, look. I've got like 25 minutes to go, so I'm not doing too bad. But I just want to show you what I've been doing. I've literally just been doing like a zigzag. But the only thing with this is I'm going to get round the other side, and I've got to try and make it look like even to the other side. So wish me luck. But basically, I'm literally just putting it in a centre bit, maybe there. Sometimes I do have to keep going back and being like, yeah, that's not quite even. I'm getting a bit carried away. Let me just zoom in a little bit more. So I'm literally just eyeballing. Another thing that you could do is use a fabric pen, but I'm not brave enough, to be fair, and then draw a design on and then follow that design. That's probably like a good way of doing it, but at the same time, I don't really like the idea of using a fabric pen. I had one before when I was sewing, and I think it might have been a cheap one, because I'm telling you now, when I washed it, that didn't all disappear. Another thing as well, I've had another pen that when I put it on, it just disappeared so quickly that you couldn't bloomin' see where you'd drawn. One good thing that you could possibly use is chalk, but then drawing on yarn or wool is going to be a bit tricky, isn't it, compared to actual proper like cotton fabric. But yeah, I'm just poking my hook in, literally hooking my yarn. I find if I keep my hook like facing upwards, I manage to catch it, and then pulling it up and then slip stitching. I did notice that I have actually done these a little bit too tight, but I tried it on and I still liked it, so they're staying. I could have done these stitches a little bit looser, but never mind. I think that it's looking pretty awesome. It's absolutely jazzed this up no end. So yeah, just hooking that through there, pulling it up, slip stitch, finding a bit in the middle. And that is literally all I'm doing to make this zigzag effect. But like I say, when I get down to, or round to my opposite side, I've got to try and make sure that it's like kind of even. As you can see, these aren't quite even, but do you know what? That's the thing. I don't care. I just think it looks cool. So yeah, oh gosh, I've now got about 20 minutes, so wish me luck. I'm still going strong. I was hoping to show you this outside, but it's currently raining and I now have about 7 minutes until I have to stop and get the girls from school. I probably should have put a different top on, to be fair, but there it is. So when I did my surface crochet, when I did my lines going across, like I said before, I did do them a little bit too tight, so it has made it a little bit, well, smaller. But it feels nice, and I like it. So do you know what? It's staying. It's alright, isn't it? It'll look better with a different top on underneath, I think, because it's a little busy. I'm a bit busy going on, but once the rain has stopped, I will get some better pictures, and you will probably see them at the beginning of this tutorial. And hopefully by then, I will have a name for this vest. Someone said like festival vest, and I was like, fest vest. But that's like doing F-E-S-T-V-E-S-T. But that's a bit of a mouthful, but I do like it. The fest vest. Can you hear me saying that, can you? Hi everyone, here's my new pattern, the vest. Anyway, right, I'll let you get on, and I'll be back again soon, hopefully for another tutorial. Bye. Don't know where anything is half the time. Ciao.